Holy crap, these cops screw up bad. Let's get into it. I'm an attorney in California. I'll be giving some commentary and reaction to these police violating people's rights. Let's get it going.
Doesn't matter.
If an officer contacts you there later,
Right.
you need to document the
Well, no, at that point you get
that
my
you were
ID.
there and you were not welcome there.
At that point you get my
asked to
ID.
leave.
See all these cameras? He's got one. Is yours on? Is yours on? Is yours on? Is yours on? Mine's on. It's actually live right now. There's 290 people who know that he's telling me and that you're telling me. They all know who I am. Hell, you can go look it up with the FBI, okay? They all know who I am. If I go back on the property, there's going to be no question about who's on the property. But besides all of that, it doesn't matter. Besides all that, you don't have a lawful right to get my ID. Again,
First of all, this guy sounds pretty frantic. His tone of voice, he sounds like he's trying to escalate the situation and invoke emotion in the police officers. And they're in the conversation, it comes up lawful versus unlawful detainment. When is an ID required? And qualified immunity comes up. And so I just want to say about detainment, the police, if they physically stop your movement, then you're detained. And in order for them to detain you, they must have a reasonable articulable suspicion that a crime was committed, is being committed, or will be committed. So that gives them a little bit of wiggle room. And then when is your ID required? It depends on the state, but the basic standard of the Supreme Court is that there has to be a reasonable articulable suspicion that a crime was, is, or will be committed. And for these cases, they could say that, filming a location could be casing it out for a robbery, and that could be suspicious enough activity for them to search someone, especially depending on context, like if you're filming police cars and things like that. They tend to freak out more about that. But it could be argued that people are less likely to rob police cars and that those are publicly owned, so we have the right to film them. That one's pretty controversial. And then, so let's see what happens here.
How long have we been here on an unlawful detainment? If you're going to do something illegal, just do it so that we can all move on.
We have a lawful right to identify you.
You can try and convince yourself, but your qualified immunity will be gone anyways. You can convince yourself of whatever you want. I will put your name personally on a lawsuit if you violate me. I'm just asking you not to. I don't go around trying to sue cops like a lot of people say. I go around showing and exposing that they violate the law and that there's almost no repercussion for it, okay? I'm not here to sue you guys. Let's walk away and end this. How about that? What do you...
We need to ID you because...
Well, I already told you. I will not voluntarily give up my rights. If you're going to violate me, you have to do it yourself.
Okay. All right, go ahead and turn around and face the fence for me. I'm just going to get your ID out of your pocket, okay?
All right, so he's going inside of my pocket. And this is Officer... I don't have any weapons either. I'm not going to hurt you. I already told you earlier.
I don't think you're violent at all, man.
So he's going...
Find a peaceful...
Oh, dude, there is something in there that'll poke you, by the way.
Okay.
Those keys.
Where's your ID at?
I can't tell you. Sorry, man. You're going to search me, you got to do it on your own.
What's your name, James?
If you're going to search me, you got to do it on your own.
James Freeman. Date of birth? Springer, yeah. James Springer.
If you're going to violate me, you got to do it on your own. So I got all these guys around me, and they're...
What's up, guys? So the qualified immunity standard that he mentioned there in that confrontation, to strip a police officer of qualified immunity, a plaintiff must satisfy a two-pronged test from Pearson v. Callahan, 2009 case. The officer violated a statutory or constitutional right. The right was clearly established at the time of the challenged conduct, such that every reasonable official would have understood that what they were doing violated that right. Harlow v. Fitzgerald. Supreme Court has deliberately constructed QI as a high bar protecting all but the plainly incompetent or those who knowingly violate the law. Malley v. Briggs. When dealing with First Amendment auditors forced to provide ID, the loss of QI hinges on the intersection of the Fourth Amendment and the First Amendment. Unlawful seizure and retaliatory arrest. First Amendment. The Fourth Amendment check, stop and identify. The constitutional baseline for compelling ID is governed by the Fourth Amendment. Officers cannot force an individual to ID without legal justification. The Terry threshold. Under Terry v. Ohio, an officer must possess reasonable, articulable suspicion that a crime has been, is being, or is about to be committed to execute an investigatory detention. You often hear the police say, well, we're investigating right now, so this is an investigatory detention. But what they're missing there is they need an articulable suspicion of a crime. And so if we have an articulable suspicion of doing something that a criminal might do in the course of planning for the crime, that's less likely to meet this definition, i.e., casing a building by filming it, which is the common reason that the police state for as a basis for their investigatory detention. Forced ID requires suspicion. In Brown v. Texas, the court ruled that an officer cannot arrest a person for refusing to identify themselves if the officer lacked a reasonable suspicion to stop them in the first place. So the original fruit of the poisonous tree, anything that comes from that illegal stop is then excluded in court. Statutory limits. Hibble v. 6th Judicial District Court of Nevada upheld state stop and identify statutes, but explicitly conditioned their constitutionality on the officer having a valid underlying Terry stop. All right, let's keep rolling.
Taking my ID, he reached inside of my pocket, he pulled my wallet out, he searched my wallet, he pulled out an identification card. Is that my Costco card, man?
What?
You spend as much as you want on there. I get points if you spend it, okay? It's fine. Yes, I recommend you get the red bull. What's your name?
This guy's
Scott. What's
this
your
kind of silly
WREN?
Midwestern sense
I
of
can't
humor.
believe you did it, dude. Oh. You know your qualified immunity is gone on that, right? You reached inside of my pocket. You didn't just do a pat down. You reached inside of my pocket. You took my wallet. You pulled my ID out because I recorded on a public building.
Sir, you need to leave.
Excuse me?
You need to leave the property because the post office has asked you to leave.
For what reason?
Well, it's trespassing, so if the post office employees have asked you to leave, you need to leave because you can be arrested for trespass after warning since you've been asked to leave the property.
Okay, and anybody could ask you to leave public property?
The people that work here, yeah, they can, because they pertain to this building.
Yeah.
Right, absolutely. Like you guys can trespass somebody from a park, but can you just roll up on somebody in a park and ask them to leave?
Well, that's all depending.
There has to be a crime.
Yeah, if the park is closed, then yes.
Right.
But, or if they're breaking some type of other city ordinance related to the park, then yes, we could.
Is this a public lobby?
This is, well, it's the post office property right here.
Right, which is federal government, which is
Yes.
public,
But
right?
this is no different than like a Publix or a Walmart. Everyone can walk into a Publix just like everyone can walk into here.
False. Private place and public place are treated differently, completely different.
So you're
That's
walking into here,
actually-
this is controlled by, you know, these employees, management here. So whatever you're doing, I don't know what you're doing that they don't like.
No, not going to.
Yeah, I'll get that in a second. Okay. I'll get that.
You're not going to identify yourself, sir?
Nope.
Okay, then we have a problem. You know that, right?
Yeah. What's the problem?
Because the premises want you trespass.
All right, so you're not required to identify usually for a trespass. They can trespass you without having your ID or name. They'll just hand it to you, and I don't believe usually the statute doesn't require a name to be trespassed, and so this is incorrect information. The police often don't know this, so they might not be lying. They might just be ignorant. We don't really know.
That's why we're here. I don't know what they told you because, like I said, we just got here.
Yeah.
So the premises want you trespass, so you need to identify yourself so we can do it.
What's the statute that makes me identify for a trespassing warning?
You're in private property right now.
No, I'm not, sir. This is federal property. It's public property. Get a supervisor, please.
Mayor, come.
Only a requirement to give a name if you've been lawfully detained or arrested.
Correct. That's why we haven't asked
Yeah,
for your name.
but in Georgia now, Georgia's different. Give a false name at any time, you can be arrested. So,
Oh, at any time.
anytime.
So Georgia, if I was to be like, hey, what's your name? You say Captain Awesome, you could be arrested for that?
Could be arrested, absolutely, for giving a false name.
Solid.
No, sir. Well, I just wanted to clarify. The Officer Mondo here had asked me for ID and for a trespassing warning, and I know under the state of Florida there's no obligation to provide that. So I just wanted to let him know and have you let him know. I know, but you were saying that we were going to have a problem if I didn't ID for a
If they
trespassing
would have
warning.
detained you and trespassed you and all the other ramifications, yes. But they chose not to trespass you, so therefore it's not important.
All right, guys. So here's the standard. If an auditor's be on a public sidewalk or in a public place, they cannot lawfully trespass them simply because they're recording a government building or a police traffic stop, for example. To lawfully trespass or arrest them, they must point to an independent objective offense. Typical valid grounds include physically blocking ingress or egress, stepping past a clearly marked barrier or no trespassing sign, or authorized personnel only sign, engaging in conduct that meets the statutory definition of disorderly conduct or physical harassment, merely using profanity or being annoying usually does not meet this bar. There's that one First Amendment auditor. He's a black guy and he screams at everybody, and that's just the way he speaks. He's amazing, but he's really annoying and loud, and his First Amendment protects him, his speech. If an officer issues a trespass order without these independent grounds, it is unconstitutional retaliatory action under First Amendment, opening the municipality to a 42 U.S.C. 1983 civil rights lawsuit. So if they do issue a trespass, that's only helping the First Amendment auditor's case to then sue them. And if they just tell them to leave, that's going to be harder to sue them. So getting that trespass order is helpful for the First Amendment auditor, so then they can file this type of lawsuit. All right, let's keep rolling.
That's
So
why I
you-
clarified, because originally when we came here, she had told me she wanted you trespass.
Right.
She spoke with her manager, they changed their story.
Okay.
So I made sure I got clarification for that. That's
So
why was
I would have
Your-
been given a
your fly's
trespass.
down, by the way, so you might want to fix that for me.
Yeah.
If you don't need me for anything else, I'm going to go ahead about my business. So
I need to see your identification.
I've done nothing wrong. But you know what? Since I feel like you might falsely arrest me for a crime, for one, I wasn't detained. So am I being detained?
I want to see your identification. Until I see that, yes.
That's not fair.
And if you're not going to give me it, you are going to get a citation, cite and release for failure to obey police officer.
So you're going to give me a citation for failure to obey, even though I haven't done nothing illegal.
You're failing to give me your identification. That is illegal. I'm conducting
Tear up your house.
because you're on
I
our
wasn't on your property,
and
though.
our
I have video. Like, I have video. I was never on your property. I'm being honest. Like, I'm not lying. The video don't
Show
lie.
it to me then.
I'm not going to cut off my phone. I'm
Show it
not.
to me.
We're at the Fort Dodge Police Department.
You're telling me my deputy's lying, but you won't show me the video. That's
Cause I don't have to, sir. Fort Dodge Police Department, guys. Fort Dodge.
So you're going to show me your identification or what?
Under protest, and because I feel like you guys about to falsely arrest me for something I didn't do. So, and I'm a little nervous.
I
And
want to log who you are.
I'm not
As long as I log your information, you're free to go.
So I'm being
But if
detained.
you're not going to give it to me, then yeah, we have an issue.
I haven't done nothing wrong though.
Yes, you did.
I'm gonna put my phone down real quick.
So give me your ID.
You're gonna have to violate my rights to get this ID, man.
That's fine.
So it's in this pocket. I'm gonna make you earn it. You're gonna have to violate my rights to do it. Go ahead. Go ahead. You're gonna have to violate it. It's right there. I'm not giving you consent, but go ahead. I fear for my safety right now.
Why are you feeling for your safety?
Because you're trying to falsely accuse me of a crime I did not
You
commit.
were on our property looking
I was
in a
not on your
city
property.
police car taking pictures of what's inside the squad car.
I'm not.
That's an officer safety issue.
That's not a crime though. If look, man,
Think about
if
it.
you
Would you like somebody looking in your vehicle?
if it's from public
Let me look at your
view,
phone. You don't have.
All right, so on this guy, keeps coming up this issue of consent and all of this. They're saying, I don't consent to any searches or seizures. I don't consent to give my ID. The reason they're stating that is so that the police can't argue that, oh, well, he gave it willingly, or oh, he never took it, he just gave it. They're just putting it on the record there, right, for the all the cameras recording them, etc. And so that's helpful. And when does a citizen have to give ID? Well, that's hard to answer because you can be unlawfully arrested, right? So you could be arrested even though if you're in the right, but basically you have to give ID when the police can articulate a reasonable suspicion of a crime and they can actually mention what that crime is. So when are you required to give ID in USA? I'll come back to that.
Problem with that? Let me look at your phone.
I don't consent to any searches.
This is city property.
I don't consent to any searches,
That's
sir.
yours, so let me see it.
Sir, I don't consent to any searches. Like I said,
wanna see your
if you're going to
identification.
take my ID, it's in this pocket. I do not consent.
All right, and we're gonna give you his fair to obey police officer.
I didn't fail you to obey. You violated my rights. See, you violated my rights.
That's fine.
That's what you just did there. You just violated my rights. For what I'm not detained, and then all of a sudden you want to violate my rights. You
I'm
know?
not gonna talk to you anymore. The officer will issue you a citation. You can wait right here.
No, you can get out of my face, sir. And if you fear for your safety that much,
Don't
try
try to intimidate
no,
me.
I'm not intimidating you. I'm not.
Tell me you got your face, 'cause I'm not even in your face.
What I'm trying to tell you
I'm
is,
walking away,
if
you're
you
telling me
fear
that.
for your safety, you shouldn't be an officer. Just like people going to the military. If they fear for their safety, why? All this is voluntary.
Do you see the public going into like a tank and looking at it? No. Do you
It's
see them going
restricted.
into a
If you,
Humvee and looking at it?
it's
No.
restricted.
All right, let's finish this up, guys. I was just reading my Superman comic book for a second there. Law enforcement encounters. You're never legally required to provide ID if an officer simply initiates a conversation. You are free to refuse and walk away. Investigatory detentions or Terry stops. These are what you hear them say. Terry stop. Under Hybel v. 6 Judicial Court of Nevada, 2004, police can compel you to ID yourself if 1, the officer is reasonable RAS of a crime, 2, you are in a state with a stop and identify statute. Stop and identify statutes like Florida, if detained with RAS, you must identify yourself. Refusal is a separate arrestable offense. Non-stop and ID state in jurisdictions like California, you're not required to provide ID during a Terry stop, even if the officer has RAS. The obligation only triggers upon formal arrest. Arrest. Once lawfully arrested, you must ID yourself in all 50 states. Refusal to provide your true name and date of birth generally constitutes obstruction and is an arrestable offense. So yes, you can be arrested for refusing to provide ID, but not without RAS, reasonable articulable suspicion. And they'll often say that filming a building could be casing the joint or recording information to later rob it. So therefore, you filming is RAS, and they have a right to search you. That's what they're going to argue. Will that pass? According to the Supreme Court, that fails because filming alone is not suspicious enough activity because it's in a public place and it's a constitutionally protected activity. All right, guys, that's it. Have a good one. Peace. Philip Dean, attorney in California. If you have any employment law issues, hit me up. Thank you.